Hello, everybody. So I feel like God has been telling me to share my testimony. I was looking through TikToks yesterday and I was looking at testimonies, and I felt God tell me that just like those testimonies are helping other people, my testimony will help many others as well. I've only told my sister about my testimony because I've always been embarrassed to tell it, and I always thought that I was going to get badly judged. But if God tells you need to share your testimony, then you have to share it. So I gave my life to Christ about 3 years ago, and it was because I was having these malicious, angry, evil, harmful thoughts. And I'm not talking about little harmful thoughts. I'm talking about like I wanted to hurt my family and even kill them. And it feels so weird to say that right now, but that's what was happening at the time. I never understood these thoughts. They came a year before I gave my life to Christ. And I never understood them because I never had hate towards my family, and I never felt anger towards them to have these thoughts. It's as if I couldn't control them. It was just there constantly, but I just couldn't do anything about the thoughts. I would always ignore these thoughts and always try to brush them away, but they were always there. I knew I would never act on them, but it's still uncomfortable to have these intense negative thoughts constantly. But from a young age, I always knew that God was real. So that's why I also want to say, please take your kids to church. They might hate it now, but they're going to thank you later. Because that seed was planted in my head that God was real. So I would always pray to him at night about these thoughts. I would always say, please take these thoughts away. I don't know what's going on. I really couldn't control them. At the time, I was living with my siblings and my mother in Florida, but my sisters were going back and forth from New York to Florida. So it was mostly just my brother and my mom, but my brother would be going to his girlfriend's house, so it was really just me and my mom. So I started to notice that I was getting these intense negative thoughts towards my mom to kill her. Again, no hate towards my mom. My mom is literally the sweetest thing ever, and I've never had anger towards her, so for me to have these thoughts against her was really odd, and I don't know where they were coming from. So one night, this was the night before I gave my life to Christ. One night, I woke up really bothered, and I felt like I was hearing voices in my head to kill my mom. And it was the weirdest thing ever. It was so intense. It was literally voices in my head telling me to kill my mom, get up. I was like in and out of sleep, but I was like hearing these voices. And as soon as I heard that, I got on my knees and I started to pray. But these thoughts would not go away, so I had to get up and I went to my mom and I told her, Mom, I'm having these bad thoughts. I didn't tell her what bad thoughts I was having, but I just told her that I was having bad thoughts and I need prayer quick. I knew that God was the only one that was going to be able to fix this. So my mom grew up in the Catholic Church, so I knew that she knew about God, and I knew that she read the Bible every so often. So I was like, I need prayer and I need it fast. So I went to her and she started praying for me. That was one of the roughest nights of my life. I barely slept. So she's praying to me, and we basically talked the whole night about God and about my thoughts, even though I didn't tell her what the thoughts were because I didn't want to scare her. But I knew that I had to go to church and I had to give my life to God. So the next day is actually Sunday, which is so amazing because God is so amazing. Everything that he does is perfect. So basically, the next day, I was really tired. I remember having bags under my eyes. And after the service was done, they called for the altars. It wasn't a want, it was a need. I needed Jesus. So I accepted Jesus into my life that day. The thoughts didn't go away immediately. God didn't deliver me from the thoughts immediately. It was little by little, as I kept going to church, as I kept seeking God, that he took those thoughts away. And that's why God is so perfect, because he knew that if he delivered me from that day, then I wouldn't have never came back to him. He wanted me to stay in his presence. He wanted me to keep coming back to him. He wanted me to see how good of a God he is. So as those days went by, those thoughts started leaving my head and I was delivered from those thoughts. So if you're having similar thoughts like that, I do believe in medical attention because I do believe that psychiatric help does help. But I feel like you need to seek God first. I know you need to seek God first. Remember, 1 Peter 5:7 says, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. I will always cast my anxieties on my Father, my God. I know that he will always let me see it through. That's all I have to say. I just want you to know how good of a God he is. So yes, that's why I gave my life to Jesus. I pray that this reaches a person that it has to reach. You're not alone in this situation. God has you. Just seek him.